Why do I love this series? Well, first of all, they hired me, which is a great reason to love them. And what I love about Killjoys is that it imagines the best of what our future could be. So we don't have to sort of explain or go through all the things that I think we're all working towards, whether it's inclusivity, diversity, progressivity, all of that stuff. We just get to imagine we're there and we can just fight monsters who want to eat our brains. And so like that is
steal our memories.
And steal our memories, things the monsters do. So that's one of my I would say one of my favorite things about the show.
I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. But I would say since the very first time I picked up a Killjoy script, which was the pilot, I was just amazed at Michelle's ability to nail humor, heart, and stakes all at once. And I think that that's something that you and all the rest of the writers
Can I steal your answer?
Constantly deliver on. And I think that that's sort of like a challenge for us every season, is to continue to execute on that promise that we made fans. And I think we've done a pretty good job of it.
I would agree.
All the way through to the music, like our composition and our song licenses sometimes I think are like really audacious and surprising and sort of like subversive in their tone, and it matches the writing well, which I think is cool.
We've got some style, which I like too.
Yeah.
Which is why I wear my romper.
Same.
It was really exciting to be at sort of the beginning of somebody's, the rise of an incandescent star. And one of the things that I'll always remember when I knew, like, wow, this person is going into the stratosphere, is when her first reading as Anila. And I think she'd gotten maybe the script, was at the table read, maybe 24 hours before, maybe. Yeah. And she sat down and she had this whole, the whole conversation of her around the green pool when she's there in 310, and the way she just effortlessly switched back and forth. And she's one person sitting at just a round table, and you could hear a pin drop. And everyone went,
yeah, it was like she didn't even have to breathe between characters. It was insane.
No, it was remarkable.
Yeah.
And we went, oh yeah. So like Ant-Man, all of it. You get all of it, all the prizes.
Yeah. And watching Hannah do a fight sequence is pretty amazing as well. Because we don't have a ton of prep time. Our prep days match the amount of days we have per episode to shoot. And so often our cast is full up, like they're on the floor shooting, and so they don't have a ton of time to rehearse and re-rehearse their sequences. But Hannah sort of approaches it as though it's like a dance. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, step, ball change, kick. Like she nails it every time.
No,
and
we
find
lucked
that
out.
really impressive.
In the writer's room, what are you guys thinking of when you come up with these episodes?
That might be a trade secret. What are we thinking of? I mean, a lot of the ways we're looking, we take our cues from Michelle and Adam. It's finding those surprising images, which is a lot of the way that Michelle works, is finding an arresting image and sort of sometimes building a story around that. Of course, there's all the paying off the arcs of the season, and we also do try to make each other laugh. And what are the things that are going to bring? I mean, the words that always get used a lot are like, is it joyful? Is it exciting? Is it sexy? And sexy has, in a Loretta's universe, it's like 20 different words for snow. It means 20 to 50 different things. So is this like action sexy? Is this sexy? Is this like funny sexy? Like what sexy are we? So I remember when I first started, I was like, there are so many ways we're using sexy, I don't know. But yeah, those are some of the things that we sort of where we pull our ideas. And also we take our cues a lot of the time we try and ground some in actual science, and sometimes we take a more impressionistic approach to science as a point of departure, a jumping off point. But we do take a lot of inspiration from, like the Holland was based on an actual neuroparasite that can be found in kitty litter. So
Nice.
Sorry for that image. And your lunch is spoiled. You're welcome. Family, I think, is the bedrock of the the series, and all the different ways in which it hurts us, and the ways in which it heals us, and how it shapes us, and can we unplug from the wiring in which, that's the track that's been laid down to us as children. How is that driving us? When is it our guide? When is it our prisoner? So I would say that family is very much, you're right, that driving force in the series. And in 5, I think we're driving to, all of our characters have at times felt lost. They've found their ways together. The family's expanded, and so the 5th season is very much about, this is what we're fighting for. This family, our family, we've chosen our family, we know who we are.
Yeah, I think we begin to see that in season 4, in the latter half of season 4, and there's this really poignant moment where Anila's mother asks Dutch who Anila is to her, and she says, she's my family, and she says it sort of through this like choked up, teary voice, and that was one of the most powerful deliveries of a line, I thought, from Hannah all season. So I felt like that sort of paid tribute to sort of both of your guys' questions in terms of like what family means to them and who they are individually. But
yeah, and in a weird way, each of them are for each other, even though they're, for Dutch, she's built her family, but suddenly she has a family. And what does that mean to her? So there's finally a place of belonging. So it's not even that she was a fake princess, on Kefri. She's actually the lost family. So, but sort of and for Neela too, Neela in a weird way, Dutch is her redemption. It's her way of like, I gave you life, to go out there and to be better. I got this horrible disease and I went kind of crazy and driven crazy by the lady. But so in a weird way, Dutch grounds Anila back and gives her a redemption. And also I would say probably her love for Doucet. So those, you will see that rapprochement between the two of them. It's as best you can when one of them tried to kill you, and but also birthed you. It's complicated.
There's also the family that they that Dutch didn't really choose, which is this Hullen heir, so birthed through Doucet.
Which is ironic that Doucet started the vessel program and then ended up a vessel. Which,
That is ironic.
It's kind of ironic.
But I mean, there's a moment in season 4 as well when Dutch sort of has to come to terms with the way that she was raised by Klein. Davin says to her that she was abused, and she is just like taken aback by that because she never saw it that way.
It was survival.
Survival, yeah.
And that is I think one of the things that Killjoys does. What interests us is that it was abuse. It's survival. It's it's in that messiness that like where do you fight for goodness, or how do you ground? Where do you find that? How to fight for that joy? So yeah. I mean, it feels great to know that when we're writing and when we're casting and from the writers' room, the directors, like that's always. These are conversations that we're having about inclusion, diversity, and also always having that mindfulness about it. But it was always, I would say, baked into the architecture of the series.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think it's sort of the job of science fiction is.
Yeah.
Sorry, it is the job of science fiction to address those kinds of conversations more loudly than any other genre can. And so, it, just as you said, it was definitely baked in from the get-go. And it's just become a part of the fabric. And I feel like we have stopped batting an eye at it.
Yeah, I guess that's our privilege. Like, that's how lucky we are.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's the way the world is. Oh, wait. We're still working on some things.
Ours is matriarchal, and
Okay.
Yeah.
Embedded into the fabric in previous seasons, this idea of finding the missing pieces of memory and relationships. Was that a deliberate build-up towards season 5, or was that kind of more of a coincidence as the way the show evolved?
That's a really good question.
That's a really good question. It's probably a bit of both. I mean, because the green was a way to share memories, and we wanted to find a way to how it would be a biocomputer, how it would store stuff, and I think we started to see like what would human data be? Human data would be memories, and it's not just the data. So the Hullen would have not an emotional connection to data; it would just be data. So you wouldn't record the emotional part of it. So, and I think it's sort of built from there. So that what is a memory? A memory is not just it's not just the events or the movie. But it's how you felt, what you saw, what you were living at the time, all of those things. So it's probably lived somewhere in the middle of that.
Cullen based. I mean, when we first get introduced to Lake Davin, he himself was missing memories, and later we find out Dutch was missing memories as well. Everybody seemed to be missing pieces, and it was only through the search of those pieces we kind of brought them together as a family.
Yes.
So I wondered if
That's awesome.
Mr. Barkin might be able to better answer
Yeah, he
that question.
But I am buying one.
Yeah.
You are selling.